Meeting is now being recorded.
Hello, everyone, and thank you again for coming today. My name is Rich Engelhard. I am your Connected Services Specialist here at Sage. And as we get started today, I did want to do a brief overview of Connected Services and what that means to Sage. And as you can see here on the screen, this is the Sage definition of Connected Services. But essentially, it is web or mobile-based solutions that help you to run your business that connect to your on-premises ERP solution. And in this case today, that would be the Sage ERP MAS 90 and 200. So again, they are connecting to the MAS software and are able to allow you to expand the functionality of your software via the web or mobile-based tie-in. And today we're going to be covering Sage Payment Solutions and everything about Sage Payment Solutions. Another connected service that my team handles is the Sage Sales Tax, powered by AvaTax, and that helps with end-to-end tax calculation, exemption certificate management, and filing and remittance. So a complete tax solution for you to be able to manage your sales tax needs. As well as there are some other connected services out there, so please be able to ask your customer account manager if you do have any additional questions on connected services. And our agenda for today, as you can see, we are going to be doing an overview of Sage Payment Solutions. We'll take a look at why accept credit cards. We'll jump into some of the integration benefits. We'll take a look at the credit card processing module and the features of that module as well. We'll take a look at authorization and settlement and how that will look with our integrated solution. And then we'll get into the software demonstration and again open up the line for any questions and answers at the end. So who is Sage Payment Solutions? Sage Payment Solutions is a division of Sage North America. We've been in business for over 20 years and have been part of the Sage family for over 6 years now. We've provided services to over 140,000 companies, and we provide a wide range of payment products and solutions for small, medium, and as we continue to integrate with our ERP products, some large businesses as well. And we have many different options available for those environments. We have a card present availability, as you see with the retail swipe machine in the middle. We handle mail order, telephone order. We do internet transactions. We have mobile swipe device that you can add to your phone to be able to swipe a card through your phone, as well as other different things such as ACH, check processing, gift card loyalty, etc. And we have multiple offices around the country with over 144 Sage employees. That brings us to why accept credit cards. So this was a study done by a company called Tango Marketing. And in the study, they found that by accepting credit cards, you were able to increase your sales by 15 to 50%. And this is because it's not only a convenience for your customers, but a lot of customers today might not carry around cash or might only carry a limited amount of cash. So by being able to accept credit cards, they're able to spend more with your organization, as well as maybe able to spend period if the the customer does not have any cash and the company does accept credit card. It also helps to allow faster delivery of goods and services to both new and existing customers, and that helps with cash flow, so being able to get the money deposited into your account much quicker than having to wait for a check to come in, have to process the check. And then as well as it allows you to focus on revenue generation and not cash collection. Since you're not having to worry about that cash collection, you can have your employee be able to focus on those activities that does help your company make money. Our integration benefits. So this was a study done in 2007 by the Association for Financial Professionals. And they spoke with companies that had revenues both over $1 billion and under $1 billion. So large companies, small companies, and everyone in between. And they asked what the benefits were of integrating electronic payment and accounting systems. And as you can see here, the top 3 responses unanimously across the board were more efficient posting and reconciliation, a cost savings, and working capital improvement. And that brings us to our module today. what is the credit card processing module? Well, the credit card processing module is a module that is free of charge, both on product and maintenance from Sage. But one thing to note about the module is it's not something that you go into to process. Rather, we've built it to work with your existing workflow within the system, so that way, instead of going into a separate module, it allows you to authorize cards directly within sales order entry, invoice data entry and sales order, cash receipts and accounts receivable, and the .order and .store pieces of eBusiness Manager. The features of our module, it allows you to maintain multiple credit cards per customer. So if you do have multiple people at an organization that would be purchasing, you are able to differentiate the cards by each. You also are able to take multiple credit card types, such as Visa, MasterCard, American Express, Discover. And we are PCI compliant. If you go to the PCISecurityStandards.org, that's the PCI Council's website, you will see Sage as a validated payment application and Sage Payment Solutions. So we are fully PCI compliant, and as a result of our PCI compliance, all the card numbers are encrypted, so you will only see the last 4 digits of a card. You will not be able to see that full card number as you're using the system, just the last 4 digits, as everything is encrypted. We also do have card not present features. The first one is address verification service, and this helps with your credit card processing rates. It allows you to make sure you're getting the best rate possible as you're processing those cards. And it is important to double check with your customers to make sure you do have the correct billing address of that card. It may be a personal billing address, or maybe a separate location from a main corporation. So you do want to make sure you're getting that correct address. And then we also have the CVV2, which is the card verification value 2, which is a 3-digit security code on the back of a card, or a 4-digit security code on the front of a card for American Express. Now, when you process with Sage Payment Solutions, that does not affect your processing rate, but it is there for security. A few things to note: it is not compliant to store this number. So as you see within our system, you won't find it anywhere to be stored, but there will be a place to be able to enter it through sales order entry, invoice data entry, cash receipts entry, and then as well as that .order and .store, so that way you can capture it. And again, it does help to prevent against fraud and make sure that your customer is who they actually say they are. And then we also have role-based securities within the system, so that way if you have access to accounts receivable and sales order, you can process cards, and if you don't, you can't, as well as you can always use custom office to enhance that as well. And our transaction data is retained within the system to help facilitate with reconciliation. So we do have a credit card settlement report that we will be going through today, and we do have a deposit transaction report for all deposits that are made through sales order. And so that brings us to authorization and settlement. So one thing that we're going to go through and notice is that everything is starting and ending with our MAS software. So as we see the box in the upper left-hand corner, as we go through, we're going to notice that everything does go and flow through there. And this is intentional, and it is because when you use Sage Payment Solutions, you don't need to process outside of MAS. And so as a result, when you have an authorization request, it's going to go directly from our software to Sage Payment Solutions and what's called the virtual terminal. Now that is our back-end engine. It's not something that you necessarily have to go into, but it is all the back-end engine that connects to the credit card processing gateway, as we'll see here in a second, as well as there is some extra additional reporting in there above and beyond what MAS has as well. So we will briefly cover that today as well, but it is, again, something that you may not necessarily have to go into. But it goes directly from our virtual terminal through the credit card processing network, and that goes out to the issuing bank of the card. The issuing bank is going to send back a response. It's going to go back through that credit card processing network, back to Sage Payment Solutions on that virtual terminal, and will go back directly into the MAS software. So as you can see here, all the transactions are done in MAS, and they get sent out via the web and come back via the web all into MAS, so that way you don't have to leave. and all integrated into your current business workflow, so that way it's nice and easy to be able to process. At the end of the day, a settlement will occur directly from Sage Payment Solutions to your bank. Now, we do have automatic settlement that is able to be enabled for your organization. So that way, if you do not want to have to go to the virtual terminal to settle out your credit card batch every night, you can have that automatically settle. And by doing so, again, it allows you to never actually have to go into the virtual terminal to be able to run your daily operations. If you do choose to manually settle, we still do have that option available to you, and we'll actually review that today, so that way we can be able to run a report later on. With that, I am going to go ahead and start to share my mass screen. And at this time, you should be able to see my Sage ERP Mass 90 and 200 screen. And what we're going to do is we're going to start out here in accounts receivable, and we're going to open our customer maintenance. We're going to take our first customer, American Business Futures, and we're going to go to our additional tab. As you can see here, our default payment type has been selected as credit card, and we do have a primary credit card information piece of our additional tab. What this allows you to do is if you do have multiple cards on file, you can decide which card is going to be the quote-unquote default card as you go through sales order, invoice data entry, or any of the other modules. So in order to change the default card, if it's already in the system, you simply click this magnifying glass, and it allows you to select the card that you would like to create as the default card. We're going to stay with our Visa card today, so we're simply going to click Select. If you would like to add a new card, you can simply click on Credit Cards. And as you can see here, you would simply be able to enter in a new card number. In this case, we are going to be entering in a MasterCard, and this is a test card. After you enter in that number, as you can see, it will automatically encrypt the card and make sure that you can only see the last 4 digits of the card, as well as you can see that it did pull over the customer billing address in the system. You do want to, again, make sure that that billing address is the correct billing address of the card, as well as that you do have the correct cardholder name. So in this case, we're going to select our credit card payment type, another Visa, and we are going to change the name to my name. We'll add in an expiration date, and we'll enter in Sage's address. And we'll enter in a comment that lets it know it's my card. Now, if you do have any corporate cards that you take through Visa, MasterCard, or American Express corporate purchasing programs, you can get level 2 rates within our system, and you would simply be able to enter in the corporate ID or PO number at this time. If you are integrating with eBusiness Manager, you are able to enable this card for use with eBusiness Manager. We're simply going to accept the card at this time. And as you can see, when we do our lookup, we are able to search by Rich's card. So this is one of the benefits about the comments, is that this is how you are able to identify a customer's card if there are multiple cards. We'll just go ahead and close out and accept our new customer maintenance. Now, there are multiple ways to be able to process within the system. You can process by taking in pre-authorization. And what pre-authorization allows you to do is it allows you to take a temporary hold on the funds. So if you may not be shipping at this exact moment, it allows you to take that temporary hold on the funds on the card, and that way when you do ship an invoice, it'll go out and actually charge the card at that time. A lot of our customers do use this method, so that way they know customers do have the money on the card to be able to pay for the goods that they will be shipping out. So as a result, they'll take a pre-authorization, and after shipment an invoice, they will take the capturing of the pre-authorization. Another way to take a credit card within the system is to take a deposit on the sales order and actually charge up front. So there are different ways to be able to process within the system. So if there is a way that you process that you don't see today, please let us know, as we'll have our information at the end of this for you to be able to contact us, or please let your account executive know with Sage Payment Solutions, and we'll make sure to work with you to make sure to address any specific processing needs you have within our system. Today we will be reviewing the pre-authorizations within the system. So what we're going to do is we're going to select our customer that we had, American Business Futures, and we're going to select our customer PO number, and we're going to go to our lines. And we're going to select our item, and we will select one of these. And we get to our totals tab. As you can see, that pop-up, that is our Sage sales tax. That, again, automatically calculates the sales tax. So as you change any information, if we were to change some of the freight here, it will automatically update based on your nexus if there is a need to be able to charge tax. So as you can see, when I update my freight amount, it does automatically recalculate the tax, and it went from $3.99 to $4.49. So again, part of that Sage sales tax end-to-end tax compliance or tax calculation with filing and remittance to help with compliance. But as you can see here, our payment type is credit card. Our default card that ended in 111 is within the system. And in order to be able to take a pre-authorization, we simply click on our credit card information button, and it brings up our credit card information screen with our default card. If we did want to change the card, we can simply enter the click on the magnifying glass and select the card that we would like. If we are taking that validation code, we can enter it in at this time. Again, it is not required, so you don't have to enter it if you don't need it. If you did want to enter in a new card, you would simply be able to start typing in your new card in this field and then be able to save that card if you would like to be able to save it to the customer account. If you wouldn't like to save it to the customer account, no problem. Just type in the card, add in the correct information, and authorize now, and you're able to take that card without actually having to save it. But if you did want to save it, or if you need to make any changes as you're going through on an existing card, you can always save that information. But as you can see, our amount for the sales order is automatically brought in for $94.29. Our sales tax amount is also ported over, and this helps with that level 2 processing. And in order to actually take the pre-authorization, it's very simple. We just simply click Authorize Now. And as you can see, as soon as we click that, we have our authorization code back with our authorization amount, date, time, number. So very, very quick and fast to be able to process. We simply click OK, and we click Accept. So in order to do that one more time for you, we're going to go ahead and show you how quick and easy it is to be able to take that sales order with your existing customer. And this time we're actually going to use the default card on file just for speed and efficiency. So we're going to come here. We're going to add a different amount of freight this time. Simply going to click our credit card button, click Authorize Now. We get our authorization code and information back, and we click Accept. So very, very quick and easy to be able to take a sales order for our customer, as well as to be able to actually to actually be able to pre-authorize that card during the sales order. Now, at the end of the day, after we're going to go through and we start the invoice data entry, what the system is going to note is that any sales order that has a pre-authorization on it that has been invoiced is going to pop up as a card to get captured on our daily sales report / update. So what we're going to do is we're simply just going to go through real quick here, and we're going to invoice these 2 sales orders to be able to show you what that looks like. So we're simply just going to click Accept. And we're going to do that one more time for our other order. And simply go to our lines and ship complete. Get to our totals. And as we can see here, we already have our authorization amount of $193.83, so we simply just click Accept. Now at the end of the day, when you do your daily sales report update, as you can see right here, it will open up the ability to process and actually capture all of the cards that you have a pre-authorization out there that you have invoiced. So as you can see on your daily sales order sales journal, we have a new piece here, Perform Credit Card Processing. There is a button that you can click to deselect it if you would like, But again, this is going to go out and actually capture that pre-authorization and actually charge the card at this time. So now that you've shipped the goods, you are able to accept receipt of the funds. And as a result, when we click our preview button, we're going to see here, as it goes through, we're going to see processing credit card transaction. And as you see, that went through and actually processed those 2 sales orders that we had a pre-authorization out there with that we actually invoiced. So what we'll do is we'll take a look at our last page here. And we're going to see here we have our invoice numbers, we have our customer number, we have the customer name, we have our credit card approval numbers in here as well. We have the order numbers with the last 4 digits of the card. And then we also have our payment applied. So as you can see with our expiration date, it moves over to the payment applied, and it shows for the same amount as our invoice, showing that this has been applied to that invoice. And to be able to show that, we're going to do our daily sales order sales journal update. Now this does take a minute for my system, so as we are waiting, I'm going to open up our virtual terminal. You're able to get there by going to https://www.sagepayments.net/mass. I have here a virtual terminal, which is also another way to get there, but /mass will allow our mass customers to be able to get there very easily. After you enter in all of your information, you're going to see a few different things when you log in. You're going to see any news that is relevant that Sage Payment Solutions will let you know about, as well as you're going to see your batch summary. So we're going to go ahead and click on credit card to see our credit card batch. Again, you can batch out automatically and have that performed at the same time every single day. However, for today, I do need to be able to process this so that way we can see our report. So one thing you'll notice is that the card type is differentiated by the actual card. So in the order that we did with our, and here we go, we're going to print our daily transaction register as well. And we'll update. So as you can see, the order that we did for $94.29 was done with the card in my name with the Sage billing address. And as we can see here, it was a MasterCard. We have a Visa here that we ran for $193.83. And we have an American Express that was actually run yesterday that we didn't batch out with. That was for $83.79. You'll notice that this one is the type of sale, and this one is a prior auth. So we're going to take a look as we jump back into the system at what those differences are. But again, with the sales order, I said today we will be taking pre-authorizations, so that's why we see that prior auth. If we had not actually gone through and captured those pre-authorizations after invoicing them, it still would say auth only. What we'll do is we'll jump back into Mass, and we'll go to cash receipts entry. So if you did want to be able to take a credit card on an open invoice, you can do that within the system. And the way to do that, there's a few different ways, but we'll be able to select our customer, American Business Futures. We're going to select our deposit type as credit card. At this time, we're going to enter in our invoice number if we know the invoice number, and there is only one invoice number. We're just going to tab through, and it's going to pull up our credit card information screen. So as you can see, it again pulls the default card on file, and it does show the invoice amount of $38.20. So we're going to click Authorize Now, and it's very simple to be able to take that, as we can see. We click OK, and if we jump into our lines, we can see here that we took this invoice for the total amount to be able to pay off. Very easy to accept and make sure, again, our deposit is in balance. However, if you did want to take multiple invoices, that's not a problem either. We can do that within the system. And we're going to simply open up our customer, American Business Futures, select our deposit type as credit card, and instead of selecting an invoice or entering anything in, we're simply just going to open up our credit card information screen to confirm that the card we're going to use is the card that we're selecting. So at this point, we're selecting our card. We're not actually going to charge anything yet, as we don't have any invoices selected, but this is where we will be able to look at the card and be able to decide what card we will be able to use. So this is what you'll ask your customer first. And in order to change the card, simply click the credit card list by clicking on the flashlight. And now we can switch the credit card. We're going to select Rich's card here. And when we do that, we can see here a few different things. One, there is no amount because we haven't selected any invoices, as well as we can't click the Authorize Now button because there is no amount that we're actually charging. We're simply just confirming to the system that, yes, this is a card we're going to use on the lines. So we click OK. And we can go to our lines, and at this time we can select Open Invoices. So we can see here there's still a balance of $85 on this invoice, so we'll go ahead and select that one, and maybe this one for $130 as well. We can simply click OK. We can enter in our amount, $85, as well as our amount here. Maybe they only wanted to pay $100 of the $130, and we're allowing that, so we'll allow them to pay $100 instead of the full $130. As well, they may want to take a prepayment, so we can always enter in maybe today's date or some reference and be able to see, is this a prepayment? So we're going to say yes, and we're going to enter in an extra $100 for that prepayment. After we have all of our amount posted, we're simply going to go back to our header, and we're going to enter in the posting balance, in this case $285, and now we click on our credit card button. We see that the $285 was automatically pulled in, and we simply are able to click Authorize Now. We get that information back very quickly, and we can just simply click OK and click Accept and make sure our deposit's in balance. So very nice and easy to be able to use the system and to be able to process credit cards within cash receipts. Now the last piece of the system today is in invoice data entry, but actually I need to update my cash receipts journal real quick here. As we can see on our cash receipts journal, we do have the approval codes in the cash receipts journal. And all of these forms are done through Crystal, so again, you can customize these with your business partner. And actually, one question I get a lot is on receipts. And receipts are done through these reports and through Crystal, so you can create a custom report to be able to run all of your receipts. Or a lot of our customers might integrate that as part of the sales order receipt or as part of the invoice to be able to just have the credit card approval numbers show up on the invoice and show what was actually pre-authorized or charged or anything during that time. So it is very customizable. We don't have a necessarily standard form. Some of our customers do require signatures. Some customers do not. Some customers, want it as part of the invoice. Some want it as a separate receipt. So all the information is within the system in the data tables, and you can use Crystal to customize that. But when we get to invoice data entry, we are able to take a credit memo and be able to credit back to a card. So we're going to go ahead and select our invoice type as credit memo. We're going to select our customer, American Business Futures, and we're going to select the invoice. So what we'll do here is we'll go ahead and select the invoice of $193.83, which was the invoice we did earlier. And maybe the customer only did want to get the one instead of the two items. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to take receipt back of the one. And we're going to get to our totals. And as you can see, because it was a credit card originally, it automatically pulls that credit card information. And this is important to note. The system can only credit back a credit card if it was used in the order or in a cash receipt situation. So it had to have been paid with credit card to be able to pay back to credit card. You would not be able to accept a check and then be able to put that back to credit card. And this is, again, part of that PCI regulations. So if we wanted to give back some of the freight amount, we charged $25 before, maybe we'll give back $10. We have our new net invoice total that will be credited. So as we are in a credit memo, it doesn't have a negative sign, but since we are in a credit memo, it will actually be giving back a credit. So we simply click our credit card information button, and we click Authorize Now. We don't want to change any of the information. Just click Authorize Now. We click OK, and we click Accept. Now, if there were any issues with any of the processing that we saw today, after we clicked Authorize Now, you would get a pop-up that would let you know that there was an error with processing. So it might say declined or whatever the thing may say, it will let you know that there was an error when you were trying to process that transaction. So we'll go ahead and close this. With that, we'll go back to our virtual terminal, and we are going to click on our credit card batch management. As you can see, we do have virtual check there as well. That is currently not integrated today. We are working on integrating ACH transactions for the future, but you are able to use our virtual terminal to take ACH transactions as well, which will allow you to be able to process a transaction just by using the bank routing and transit number for a customer and the bank account number, and whether it's checking or savings account, to be able to automatically take that out through ACH. But today we are talking about the credit cards. So I wanted to go back to the screen. As you can see, our sales were done with the invoice, the cash receipt. So as you can see, anytime you are in the system, it will let you know where in the system you were when you took it. As you can see, the one that we did yesterday, we actually did during invoice. So this is important to note, because if you didn't necessarily charge the card during sales order, you can always charge it during the invoice process in the sales order invoice. And then as you can see here, the invoice for the credit, as we were in doing a credit memo, and we see here that it is a credit. So at the end of the day, again, you would be able to automatically settle, but we're going to settle our check transactions today manually to be able to show you what that report looks like within the system. So as you can see, our batch close was successful. We have all of the transactions based on the card types, and we will simply just click Close Batch Results. And so with that, we'll jump back into our mess. And what we're going to do is we're going to get to our customer inquiry. So I did want to show you how that customer inquiry does get affected as we do go through. We're going to go to our invoices. We'll open up here full screen. And again, we haven't updated the credit back yet, so we might not see that credit memo in here, as we did not do that full update. But what we can see here is when we look at the bottom, we do have the transactions that we did process, the 193.83 that we did the credit memo, but we haven't updated it again, so it doesn't show that yet. But we do have our authorization code transaction number. We do have the 9429 that we did as well. So when we double click, we can open up the invoice history, and we can see here all of the information that we need to see, and we see that there was the credit card number on there. Or we can also see that, again, it was paid by the payment, and we can see the balance is $0. As we can also see with some of the other transactions that we did run, we had the $85 invoice that we charged, the $130 invoice that we only charged $100 with, and you can see that difference here at the bottom again. So all of the information does automatically get translated to your customer inquiry. So we'll go ahead and close that. And the last part, as I said, was the report. So we're going to run our credit card settlement report today. And we simply select our merchant ID. We want to print the transaction detail. That way we can see each transaction individually. And we want to select our settlement date. In this case, we're going to use today's date. But if you are settling at the end of the night, you may run the report in the morning, which means you will want to select the morning before. We are going to preview and be able to see our settlement report. So here you can see a few different things. We'll zoom in just a little bit. But we can see all of the company information, the journal it was in, and as well as all the information with the transaction. We also see the issuer of the card, American Express, Visa, MasterCard. So even if you do take it as a Visa transaction, your payment type, Sage Payment Solutions does know what the card is based on that card number. So always you will get the correct issuer of the card. We have our authorization codes. And again, we don't see an authorization code for credit because it's not an authorization. We're crediting you back. But we can see all of the gross amounts. We see something here called accrual fee, and we see something called net amount. And as you can see here, we do have zeros up here, but we do have accrual fees down here. And I do want to cover that very briefly. What the system is set up to do is it is set up to allow you to accrue out your credit card expenses. Some of our customers like this, some may not, so it is entirely up to you how you would like to use it. But for the customers that would like to use it, it allows you to take your best guess about what your rate will be at the end of the month and be able to accrue that out into maybe a credit card accrual account that allows you to take out what that transaction is going to be, so that way at the end of the month, when you do need to settle up with Sage Payment Solutions, you have that accrued out and you know that it's not going to necessarily be a loss of income because you're paying off the credit card fees, but rather it's accrued out throughout the month. So it should help being able to count for those fees. But as you can see here, as we continue to scroll down, we have our report totals to be able to show all the information for all of the settlement. And we also see back to the left as well the date that the transaction was actually processed. So again, since that one was processed the day before, it does show the date of the transaction, even though this is the settlement report for today's date. So we're going to go ahead and close this as well. And with that, there is, of course, more functionality within the system. As I said, you can take a deposit directly through sales order and some other things like that. But I did, in the interest of time, want to be able to go ahead and share back my document that I was sharing to be able to open it up for question and answer. Again, the lines are muted, so if you do have a question, please either enter it in the Q&A below or hit *6 to unmute your line. But I did want to thank everyone so much for their time today. We definitely appreciate you taking the time out to learn about our credit card processing module powered by Sage Payment Solutions, and thank you for your business as a Sage customer. And also wanted to let everyone know that Sage ERP Mass 90 and 200 is becoming Sage 100 ERP. If you do have any questions after this, or you are seeing a recorded version of this presentation and did have questions, please email us at sage100erpconnectedservices@sage.com. And with that, I will go ahead and wait for any questions. Again, you can type them in the Q&A, or you're also able to hit *6 to unmute your line and be able to ask a question through there. Again, you can enter a question into the Q&A, or you can ask a question by hitting *6. All right. Well, if there are no questions, I will go ahead and end the meeting at this time, and wanted to thank you again for joining us today. And if you do have any additional questions, please reach out to your Sage Payment Solutions account executive, your Sage Customer Account Manager, or you can reach out to myself and our Connected Services team at Sage 100 ERP